per True Media, which I've never heard of before, 15.4% of Nico Iamaleava's passes this season have been off target. That's 77th nationally. Former Tennessee quarterback Joe Milton, per this report, was 37th nationally last season, with 12.7% of his passes going off target. So is Joe Milton a better passer than Nico Iamaleava?
Dave really just had to drop that in there.
I'm just asking for a friend.
Are we? No.
Here are my thoughts on that. He's
not.
a lot younger, and it means a whole lot to him. So when the ball starts rolling downhill, it looked like it was just going to be fantastic at the beginning of that Florida game. And then you have the fumble. And I think that he played poorly from that point on. I think if things are going good, that he's right up at the front. But I think that he gets down on himself and was really torn up after the loss to Arkansas, I was told. And I think he gets too down on himself. Joe Milton had kind of a laissez-faire attitude, if I can go a little French on you. But maybe that served him well, that he didn't put too much pressure on him. I've been around some great athletes that have said, well, they're on scholarship too. I mean, it's not always good versus evil, Caleb. I mean, sometimes the other team just outplays you. And I think Joe Milton, maybe it's a fault in your eyes. Maybe it's actually a good trait to have in his position. Didn't take on the pressure that Nico has put upon himself and that the coaching staff has put on him.
So, okay, that's possibly true. I could see that. I think some of these on-target passes, though, can be misleading, because I think a lot of times I don't know how they're able to determine whether or not it's the receiver's fault for breaking off a route or not running the right route. And I get what you're saying, but also there's another layer to this. What about the fact that they've just taken more risky throws with Nico? Harder throws to make.
I agree. And Derek said that as well. They're asking more out of Nico than Joe, obviously. And whether or not Brew let up on that North Carolina State interception or not, you've got to think, I'm throwing into coverage, so this better be tight. I don't even think you call that play with Joe Milton there.
No, they absolutely don't. There's not a chance in hell they're calling that play with Joe Milton there. And I think that's where the big difference lies, is I think that they are taking chances with Nico. I mean, people keep talking about the bubble screens. Dave, let's be honest. They're not calling near the bubble screens they were last year at that same level. And it's easy to put those. It's easy for those passes to be on target. And so I think, for me, it's really hard to say that Joe Milton, it's really hard for me to say that Joe Milton was more accurate than Nico, and I think he had a lot easier throws. On top of that, and we want to point this out, we'll talk about this with Ollie, the shots were there way more often with Joe Milton last year than they have been with Nico this year. And
yes,
I think
I was stunned to see Chaz Nimrod and Squirrel White running bare downfield. It just seems like that hasn't happened very often this year.
I agree. That's one of the most shocking things for me too. So when you take that into account, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say that Joe Milton's better than Nico. Now that's a red flag what you're telling me about Nico, but I think we can safely say there are 1,000 issues involved in that, can't we?
Yes. And one of the issues that is out there that this unnamed SEC coach wanted to offer up as well is that the key to beating Nico is making him make post-snap reads. That's why you're seeing so many defenses show one thing and then do something else. Now, is that a red flag right now, Caleb? Or is that the ultimate situation where he might not be able to overcome things and he just doesn't process quickly? I'll go ahead and tell you, I think it's just him being a young guy, but it's certainly more of a question mark than I thought it would be in August.
Well, here's where there's a red flag. The Heupel offense is designed to where it shouldn't be hard to make pre-snap read. It shouldn't be hard to make the right throw with the pre-snap read. You should almost not have to make pro-snap reads.
Well, but see, that's what they're doing. They're giving them different looks. They're coming up and they're showing blitz and they're bailing out. So we talk about the 3-3-5, and I do think that's a tough matchup. But I've seen more disguising of coverages against Tennessee than I've seen in Heupel's previous successful years. So I think that's exactly what they're doing. So then you might say, oh, this looks like cover 1, and they're bringing 7 guys in a blitz, and suddenly they drop back into cover 2. Now that you've got to be able to make a post-snap read. That's not on Heupel and Halsley to make that call.
No, it's not. You're right. You do have to be able to make that read. But it's not just Nico that has to make that read. The receivers have to make that read. What if the receivers are running deep post routes and they should be breaking in because it's a cover 2?
I'm with you.
You know? And so
I don't understand why the passes aren't going over the middle, other than
here's
I
what we
just
need.
don't believe that Josh Heupel completely trusts Nico quite yet. And I think he's surprised by that. And I think he thought Nico would be more, but I think there's a real concern there that he is not right now confident enough to deliver a ball right down the middle. And it sure as heck didn't help that Chaz Nimrod drop that one, because that was a perfect pass.
No, I agree. All right, here's a phrase. Who was it that they would say this about? Was it Tom Brady, where they would call him check down Tom? Like a quarterback that would just do the check down all the time because it frustrated the heck out of them. And it frustrated the heck out of the fans. But
I can't remember, but that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, it's not. This is what I'm saying. No, it's the worst thing in the world when you're throwing checkdowns because you're scared to make the deep throw when it's there. That's when it's bad. Yes. And a lot of quarterbacks do that because they want to take the safe route. Maybe Nico needs to turn into check down Nico. And what I mean by that is just take the easy dump. Because, guys, I don't know if you're noticing this. On a lot of these cover 2s that they're dropping in from the 3-3-5, Dylan Sampson is wide open in the flats.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And my defense of Nico was that he's probably not even taught to look that way. Well, it's time to teach him that. You're not going to believe what these unnamed coaches had to say about James Pierce, which sets us up for a new poll question, if you don't mind. Who is most overrated? Nico, James Pierce, neither or both? And we're going to share the Pierce
information. Dave is just being savage today on people.
Well, no, I said neither. I don't think it's either. Maybe Nico a little bit, but not Pierce. All right, but I've got neither in there. You can vote neither. But this is what this unnamed SEC coach is having you believe. So this isn't my assertion. Don't put this one on me. Medicare Misty in over 40 states, 30 seconds from her. Your Medicare needs for free.
I've been in business actually 19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
The other thing that this one coach said about Nico is, quote, he never puts the ball in danger. What? I mean, not a lot, but there's been times where he's thrown it into coverage. This obviously had to be before the Florida game. That's not a Florida coach that said that.
That's not an Arkansas coach. Well, actually, no, he didn't put the ball in danger against Arkansas, did he? He just made it's not a Florida. Yeah, it's before Florida.